What's going on, everybody? This is the host of Recover Out Loud podcast, Sean Young. Before we dive in, I want to be clear. I'm not a medical professional. I'm not here to diagnose or treat. I'm simply a catalyst, someone who's walked through the fire and now speaks from experience, reflection, and a deep desire to help others find their way forward. This podcast may include honest conversations about addiction, mental health challenges, and suicidal thoughts or ideations. These are real parts of the human experience, and we won't shy away from them. If you're listening, please do so with self care and self awareness. And if you're struggling, please reach out. There's help out there. And most importantly, there's hope. Viewer discretion is advised. Now let's get it. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Recover Out Loud podcast. I am your host, Sean Young. Thank you for joining me today in our journey to help people to recover and to share stories of recovery. Today, we got a really awesome guest. Her name is Miss Chelsea Elisabeth. How you doing, Miss Chelsea?
I'm excellent. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, thank you for joining me. Before we get into the conversation and all that stuff, give us a little bit about yourself, Miss Chelsea.
I have a little bit about myself. Name, obviously, Chelsea Elisabeth. I'm an author and speaker, formerly biotech pharmaceutical sales liaison. A couple of years ago, was involved in a deadly accident and lost my face and my scalp. My new wig, trying out on this show. And woke up to a life I didn't recognize. And so you're joining me on my journey to self-discovery and learning who we are after trauma.
Absolutely. So, Miss Chelsea, how's your day been?
The day has been good. Got up this morning, wrote a little bit, still trying to work on my website. Caught a workout, solid core. If any of the listeners have ever tried that, go for it. Pretty intense. And tidied up a little bit, and here I am, front and center.
That's awesome. Yeah, I recently got a gym membership after about 7 years of being out of the gym because of injuries, and so I found myself at this point where I'm like, with the addict alcoholic mentality of not going full force in the gym, not going hard in the gym, just easing my way into it, and then stepping it up, each step at a time where I feel comfortable. So I have a lot of appreciation for people that can do the peak physical fitness stuff because I can't do it right now.
Oh, you will get there. It sounds like you've probably got a little bit of ADHD shoved in you too. For me, there aren't enough amphetamines to slow me down. So if I'm not in the gym, there's nobody around me that's happy. And if, I'm quite petite, and so I like to pride myself on running circles around the big kids.
I can understand that.
Yes.
I can understand that. So
the adrenaline junkie part.
Oh yeah, I was a paratrooper when I was in the Army. I get the adrenaline junkie. Everybody used to ask, like, why did you jump out of airplanes? Aren't you terrified of heights? And I'm like, yes, I am. And they said, why? And I said, well, $150 a month is $150 a month when you're not making a lot, and adrenaline.
Yep. It is a rush you cannot replace. It became definitely, it has always been my drug. So athlete all my life. And of course, a couple of years ago, it was taken from me. And instead of following necessary doctor's orders, I followed my heart, my brain back to the gym. And that is what set my recovery into full force. I began to get no damaged tissue, no skin grafts. So there's a lot to a healthy mind and a healthy body when it comes to recovery on a physical level, emotional, psychological, you name it. There's a lot to sleeping and physical fitness.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I found out when I entered into recovery was that, a lot of depression, anxiety, and mental health disorders set in after a life altering event like an injury. Um, and those really take a toll on your mental health because like you can't do the things that you once were able to do. And it never like occurred to me that happened. I mean, I tore my meniscus on my last deployment and could barely walk on my knee. And when I got it replaced, I couldn't do 50% of what I used to do.
Yep, yep. It takes. Oh yeah, there's there's a lot to that mental health aspect, and really pushing yourself and proving to yourself that you can do it. And it's funny you mentioned that because you're exactly right. When trauma happens, what myself, I don't know if anybody else out there did, but myself, what I didn't realize is that the shock of it lasts quite a while. And it took me a year and a half to feel the trauma. And I really thought I was having a mental breakdown. I really thought I needed to be committed because I didn't know what was going on. It was a flood of emotion that I did not understand. If anybody can be happy, sad, mad, angry, aloof in point 0.5 seconds, it was me. And there was nothing I knew to help it. I really thought I had lost my mind. And so upon researching, discovered that delayed response to trauma is 9 times out of 10 the case. And it's in that phase that I feel like we lose a lot of people, because it's a phase that you can't make sense of. It becomes so heavy that life is easier given up on than pursued.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and catching you by surprise. Most of us think, okay, well, common sense says I'll feel traumatized immediately. Nope, you don't.
No,
Nope.
no. And then on top of that too, like when that happens, then more of life's heavier events happen, right? Like the saying, when it rains, it pours is really true.
Yep, it is. I mean, in my case, in that year and a half time, I mean, countless surgeries, doctors, hospitals, therapy. I did the whole therapy thing, sticking with that. And then, of course, all of these, you check your mailbox one day and you're like, what? And so, along with this flood of what just happened to me, comes financial ruin. And then you call these friends you used to have, and while you were recovering, they moved on with life. And that's a part that, on the discharge papers they don't explain to you is, hey, while you've been in here for a while, everybody else has lived their life and moved on. So the people, places, and things are going to be different.
Absolutely.
How do you prepare for that? Nobody tells you. You just think you're going to re-enter and everything's going to be fine. And so, no, you find yourself deeply traumatized with feelings and emotions that you've never encountered before, a heaping stack of medical bills that were brought on by nothing you necessarily did wrong. And then the unit of friends that are supposed to be there to support you have now fluttered away. And oh, yeah, it rains, it pours. And I'm sorry, guys, but it pours for a while. It does. And the only thing that you can do is know that you're not alone. You're sitting here listening to two people who have been there, done that. Probably still, I'm still going through it. Yeah, it's not over yet. I'm sorry, it's been a year, it's not over. um, but you're not alone, and hold on to hope. That's what I do. Hold on to hope. And I know that my God didn't bring me this far to let me fall off the face of the earth. There's a reason we survived the unsurvivable.
Yeah.
I should have been dead, bled to death, infections. I have no idea what God has in store for me, but I know that He did not spare my life to bring me years of misery and pain and heartbreak and devastation. That's
Yeah.
just not what I believe. And whether it's true or not, I still get up every morning with that belief and with that fire and energy to keep trying. And we need that. And we need each other. We need each other. I need people to say, hey, you know what? I felt like that. That way I don't think I'm so crazy.
Absolutely. I believe in this saying, I didn't come this far just to come this far.
Yeah.
Right? Like I didn't survive everything I've survived just to come this far and fail. Right? Like so now there's got to be something different, and it's a life journey trying to figure that out. But so we're gonna go ahead and dive into your story. You had mentioned that you were working a job you did not like. Let's talk about
So, yeah, it was in biotech. Loved the company, loved my clients. I'm a very much type A people person. I feed off the energy of other people. And this job was completely remote, completely behind the camera. And so anytime that I got energized was away from that. So it became the dread, just because it was everything that went against who I am. I've been a writer, in a closet writer, we'll call it, for all my life. If you open up my iPad and go into notes or Word, you'll see just years of pieces I've written. And, thank God when I was attacked and recovering, I had my career and I could work that remotely. And that did give me that bit of busy time. But my focus was more on writing down what I was going through. And so, in making different notes and fallbacks and anything and everything, I started to go back to those probably a year after the attack and put those pieces together. And suddenly, what I realized is that in front of me, I had a book. And I took that book and yes, okay, I'm not going to self-publish. If it's worth anything, a publisher will find me, pick me up, and want the book. And 3 months after fishing it out, I was picked up for a book deal, and am grateful. Thank you, Franklin Publishers, Franklin International Publishing House, for taking a chance on me. And I guess it was in May, mid-May, I was let go from my biotech job. and so my cushion, and there's Amelia, she's upset about that too. She doesn't get her favorite, extra goody treats. But that was my cushion. I'm like, of all the things to lose, now this, it's like, what else? I mean, that was the last piece of anything normal I had left. And when that was taken, it became up to me to believe in myself and to build the life that I wanted, the life that suited me. Did I know what that looked like? Nope. Nope. Am I still figuring it out? Absolutely. I think I'll figure it out until the day I die. But I'm figuring it out, and I'm enjoying it. I don't so much like doing the content for the website. ADHD, you got to sit down and write stuff. I want people to read my brain and them to just fill all the blanks in. But otherwise, I'm I knew I loved helping people. I knew that I was good at it. I knew that I had a spirit that people were drawn to. I just didn't know why I wasn't taking advantage of that gift. And with the forced hand in it, began to seek out different podcasts like this, began writing even more. And I opened a foundation, and the foundation is designed to support nonprofits who work with individuals suffering from trauma, unresolved trauma, unvalidated, invalidated traumas, anything that's pain. And I'll tell you this, if you're listening and you're thinking, oh, I don't have, my head didn't get ripped off, I wasn't in combat, I didn't, I just lost my dog. Let me tell you this much. Your pain is equal to mine.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it is, because tomorrow wasn't like yesterday, and your entire life just got flipped upside down. It doesn't have to be catastrophic. It doesn't. And a lot of people I have spoken to have never validated their feelings, validated their pain, because they determined it wasn't bad enough.
Yeah.
And that's the worst thing anybody can do. I don't care. I mean, if you love your fingernails and you broke one, okay,
Yeah.
grieve, be upset, validate that pain, and heal. Because if you don't, let me tell you this, on a psychological and a biological level, it'll destroy you. It'll destroy you. Your mind will destroy your body, and emotion will creep up that is unhinged, out of character. You won't know why, but I can tell you why. It is because something in your past wasn't properly dealt with. It wasn't properly grieved. It wasn't given the attention and the recognition that it deserved. Um, don't fall into the I guess we'll call it global mentality of, oh, it's okay, it doesn't matter, I'll get over it, or hey, I'll sleep when I'm dead, or anything else.
Yep.
It's not, you're not doing yourself any good, and you're not living your best life. You have given up on your best life by not addressing what harmed you.
Absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly. Before I move on to my next comment, I got this light shining in from my window. It's a gracious light. It's awesome. It's really good for the vitamin D, but it might black out my screen. So I'm still here. I'm not frozen. My lights didn't go off. It's just the sun. The sun likes to grace me with its presence from time to time.
No problem. You do that, I'll take a drink.
But anyways, so you said a lot that I can relate with. One of those being invalidating your own trauma and your own pain. I can't tell you how many times I've had people come to me that said, "Oh, you've gone through all this in your military career. I can't relate to that, so therefore your trauma is worse than mine." And I say that trauma is trauma, right?
Yep.
Right. Like my trauma is not any worse or any better than yours. And yours is no worse or any better than mine. It's how the body processes it. What people fail to realize is trauma is not the event. Trauma is the way that your body and your brain react to the event, and then to the actual, like, the side effects of the event, right?
Yep.
So what would be traumatizing to you may not be traumatizing to me, right? So, like, I always say this, I'm like, hey, we could be driving in a car, we get into a car accident, and I could be like, man, dude, that was awesome. I'll have another, right? But the person next to me in the passenger seat could be completely traumatized by it.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's really recognizing that trauma and giving space for it and healing from it, and also not invalidating your trauma by trying to compare. Comparison's the thief of joy. And I every single time people are like, try to compare their stuff to mine or mine to theirs, I'm like, just stop, because you're invalidating yourself, and you're not giving yourself the proper chance to feel those feelings and those emotions. And society has really taught us to run away from how we feel, that there's going to be something that can, whether it's alcohol, drugs, women, men, sports, TV, what have you, there's going to be something there to block that receptor for the pain that we feel. So really recognizing that, sitting it.
Yeah, sitting in it. That's the tricky part. None of us like that. The sitting in it, not pretty. Not pretty. My I was an overachiever, and I thought, okay, I'm going to head this off. I'm sure it's going to be ugly. So I went ahead and got 4 therapists, 2 therapists, a psychologist, and a coach. I'm like, I am going to beat this before it even hits me. And what all of us, anybody and everybody, failed to realize is that my trauma was not the attack. It was not the blood. It was not holding pieces of me. No, that wasn't the trauma at all. I can look at blood and body parts all day long. The trauma was, oh my God, my life ended before it began. Did I tell my mom and dad I love them when I talked to them yesterday? What that the trauma is not always the event. The trauma is those people that abandoned you when you were in the hospital for so long because you're no use to them now. You can't run any favors for them or help them. They don't want to stick around. They certainly don't want to help you. It's the people that were supposed to love you that can't handle it and run away. It's the life that you knew being taken from you unexpectedly and unfairly. You didn't deserve it. Maybe it was self-induced, but why was it self-induced? Oftentimes invalidated traumas, pains, childhood. It wasn't, I mean, if you drill it all down, yeah, well, what happens isn't your fault. But if you don't deal with it, it becomes your fault.
Yeah.
And like an addict, first you have to admit, then you can start to recover.
Yeah.
The admitting part becomes the easy part when you start the recovery.
Yeah.
It's worth it. On the flip side, my life looks completely different today than it ever has before. It's very lonely at times. It's very unfamiliar, uncomfortable. Um, but there are days like today in this conversation right here that I'm reminded that no matter how it feels, I'm going the right way. I am going the right way. And if there's only one person that halfway hears me in our conversation today, and if it inspires you to take a look inside and pull something out of the past and deal with it properly, then that's a win. That's a huge win. I don't want to save the world. I don't want to inspire the world. Just one. And
Yeah.
and it was all worth it. If I can change one life, then everything was worth it because I spared them the hardship that they were about to face.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, you mentioned attack a few times, and I know that this may not be something that you want to dive into too deep, but you want to share it. What happened?
Yeah, I am, like I said, mentioned earlier, quite petite. So, I mean, if I can tip the scale over 100, it's a good day. Uh, so, I have always loved Great Danes. So, I love the big dogs. They're just big lap dogs. They think they're pocket poodle size. And for 20 years, I've owned them and adopted Amelia, who you've heard bark and seen try to get on camera, and she's still going to try to get on camera. She's 8, and so I thought, okay, Chelsea, it's time to get a backup. We've got to get a backup. Let's ease that blow, and so adopted another Great Dane from a local rescue. Beautiful male, about a year old, fawn black mask, and he had some behavioral issues in the beginning, but nothing too alarming. One night, he had jumped up into my bed, and I had gotten up and gotten back into bed, and he bit my arm, drew blood, scared me. And everything I know, um, but then everything I feel collided, and feelings trumped wisdom. And a week later, it was a Sunday evening, and typical Sunday evening, I was having a bit of yogurt by the table we're sitting at now, and dogs barking. There were dogs walking in the backfield, and when they went out of sight, he turned and launched at me. And the launch came at my jaw here and in my ear. I fell and broke the chin, and was able to get on all fours and kind of cover the carotid and try to make my way to the back sliding glass doors. Um, I remember looking and seeing Amelia crouched in the corner. Um, I, I feel guilty now, not begging her for help, but come on, what is she going to do? She's a pack animal. She's supposed to help, take down the prey. She proved she was my pack. I remember that. I remember picking up pieces they had to put back on. But I don't remember getting out of the house. I would have sworn to you that it was middle of the night, pitch black. In my mind, upon waking up, I thought I had opened the door. Just 1, 2, 3, in my head, it was okay, I've got to let my carotid go. And 1, 2, 3, open the door. There were photos from police and animal control that told a very different story. The house took a different story than I believed. It was middle of the day. I mean, it was August at 6 p.m. Sun
Wow.
couldn't have been brighter. I don't remember anything but darkness. And I do remember seeing what I know now are angels from either a shock, near death. I don't remember any kind of bright, shiny lights, or seeing God or heaven or health for that. Thank God. Thank you, God. But so none of those memories to reflect on. But I do remember vividly infancy and early childhood, and could tell you very specifically what I was doing at 9, 10, 11, 12 months old.
Wow.
And very, very interesting things. But my mind had gone to a place of safety versus
Yeah.
trauma. Chaos. The chaos is, I don't really know if there's a good word for that, just the chaos. But of all the arteries, the carotid was the only one that wasn't severed. I had a clot in the right vertebral artery. I lost my entire scalp, ears, nose, pieces of the face, chin. They ended up sewing up 5 feet 7 inches altogether, as they defined it, a puzzle piece, putting a puzzle piece back together. My prognosis was daunting. Skin graft after skin graft, dead tissue. They really didn't know any of the lasting effects of, was I out, did I, the brain. And I didn't need anything. My skin lived. I don't know how. I saw it. I looked at it. I've got pictures. Very much dead.
Yeah.
But this is when I said, you know what? I'm going to get back to the gym. I've got to start working out. And blood clot, never an issue. I recovered in a fraction of what I was supposed to. I've still got one surgery. I mean, I still have little miscellaneous surgeries and things like that. Of course, muscles, tendons, cartilage, everything was, imagine losing everything that's on your head. And so, you've got to move some muscles and things around. But the major stuff, done. And it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
I'm anatomy, physiology. I know the human body. I've been there all my life.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense that we're sitting here today and I look like a completely normal human being, minus, we are wearing a wig, but just okay. It can get fun. Um, but aside from that, you would not. Most people have no idea. I think that's what makes my story so jaw dropping. Is they're like, "What? Wait, huh? You? What?" I have no idea. I have no idea. You can't even see the scars on my face.
Yeah.
And really, the main scar you can see is back here on my shoulder. He had bitten through the armpit, which is, I remember saying that my shoulder is broken. Didn't realize anything else was going on, but that's the only scar you can see.
Yeah. That's insane.
So, yeah, talk about, a miraculous recovery, but also talk about unvalidating your own trauma. Everybody's like, oh, look at you. You look great. You made a full recovery. Nothing's wrong. It wasn't that bad. And suddenly you're like, huh, okay. It wasn't that bad then, right? So it wasn't bad. And suddenly this horrible thing becomes, oh, it's all right. No big deal.
Wow.
And it was when I did that I took the catastrophic fall to grace, and all the emotions that I thought that I had very wisely beaten to the punch hit with a vengeance. Hit with a
Yeah.
vengeance.
I can imagine.
Because, oh yeah, the mind and the body know the reality. I can try to lie to myself. I can lie to myself all day long. But it doesn't make it go away. It doesn't change the truth. It doesn't change my reality. A lie is
No.
a lie. The truth is the truth.
It I'll say that you're a miracle. Uh, you know, because like you said, its skin should have been dead. You looked at it, it should have been dead, but it's not, and it's fully alive and living, right?
Oh yeah.
And that's amazing. That's just simply amazing. And the fact that people invalidated your trauma by saying, "Oh, you look great," and then, that's sorry for my language. That's bullshit.
Oh yeah. And what's the most interesting part of this is I don't feel like it was anyone's intention to invalidate anything. I really think that in that situation, a lot of us aren't equipped to say the right things
Yeah.
because we aren't all therapists, we aren't psychologists, psychiatrists. We don't know what to say in the midst of a trauma other than it's going to get better. It's going to be okay. You'll look great.
Yeah.
That's the normal, stupid human stuff to say.
Yeah.
And is there the perfect thing to say? No, but I think maybe a better choice in the future would be, how are you feeling? Is there anything I can do for you?
Yeah.
If I had anybody say, is there anything I can do for you? That would have made each and every day 10 times better.
Yeah.
Simply put, it's, what can I do for you? Just that act of service when someone is going through such an uncertain time, such a painful trial in life, whether it's minor, major, self-induced accident, I don't care. We all need somebody to say, can I help you? What do you need?
Yeah.
We just do. And
I
if you've got friends and loved ones, call and check on them. Because I'll tell you what, the most terrifying thing in the world is laying there on the floor while you're dying and wondering who you spoke to, who you told you loved, what you forgot to do. I think the worst thing that could ever happen is having time to think before your death. But it was good for me because I don't make some of those same mistakes. What was important then is certainly not important today. It is making sure that the people you love know you love them. Say it over and over. Um, and if there's somebody you haven't reached out to and fixed an old wound, don't waste time. I'm a healthy, happy 40 something, and I thought I had the whole life ahead of me until I didn't. And I think that's the part that we all need to be a little more mindful of. Nobody wants to think of, today could be your last day. Don't get morbid on it,
Yeah.
but be mindful that the things that you oftentimes think are important, that meeting, that phone call, getting up early, those
It's
aren't
not.
important.
No.
Those aren't important because you know what? There wasn't a dime that I made that I could have taken off with me. No,
Right.
everybody else is going to enjoy that.
Yep. You'd mentioned, asking what people could do for you. Honestly, I learned a long time ago, stop asking how people are doing because you can fake it. To start asking how people are feeling because that hits much deeper, and you have to actually think about how you're feeling. Because if you're being honest with yourself, the surface feelings aren't the actual way, isn't the way that you're feeling, right? So I try to approach anytime that I check in with somebody or anytime I talk to somebody, especially if they mean something to me with, how are you feeling? And
Right.
generally that would be like, oh, that's a hard question to answer. Yeah, I know. That's why I asked it. It makes you think.
Mhm. Yeah. As soon as you say feelings, the brain clues into,
Yeah.
well, crap. There it is. Yeah, it's slightest change in language that can make the biggest difference. Um, and one thing that just kind of, I guess, bothers me more today than it ever has before is people holding back feelings and words and not saying what's on their mind or how they're feeling to the people that need to hear it. And a lot of that becomes improper communication. And a lot gets lost in that. A lot gets lost in that. So if you're thinking it, feeling it, you need to say it. Say it.
Yeah.
Holding a lot of that in is just as toxic as any other trauma could be.
Oh, absolutely. And you hit it right on the head by saying, get it out there, let it out. It doesn't matter because at the end of the day, we don't know our next minute, 10, 20, 30 minutes holds, right? Like you could be walking across the street and get hit by a damn car and then you're done.
Done.
Get it out.
Anything. And it's, there's, a lot of people will say things jokingly. So not cool to do that. At some age, we need to kind of get over that. But, if somebody hurts your feelings, when did it become so petty and juvenile and sissy like to say, hey, you hurt my feelings?
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't be so cool and so stubborn that you avoid life for
Yeah.
fear of being vulnerable. Um, this is the first time in my life that I've ever been vulnerable and open and honest and not, tough girl, type A, Aries, little girl, syndrome. Um, and I like the vulnerable part because nobody misunderstands me. They know exactly what I'm saying, exactly how I'm feeling, and it creates healthy boundaries. And beware, if you've had a long-term relationship and you create this new boundary, they will cross it. Trust me, they will
Yeah.
cross it every time. But keep setting it and be true to yourself. You're the only one that can be true to yourself. And I've got savior complex, whatever that is. Like I said, I love to help people, but I can't do it and sacrifice myself. Um, so we can't save everybody, but I hope that I can encourage everyone to just sit still for a minute and figure out what bites.
Yeah.
I mean, what is eating at you? What is hurting you? Say it. Put it out there. Take the power away from it. Because if you keep it in there, it's going to keep punching you in the gut.
Yeah, absolutely. We give a lot of power to fear, We give a lot of power to all the negative emotions. But when it comes to like the real positive emotions or the real good things for us, we don't give that to ourselves. And I don't know if it has to do with the fact that we don't feel worthy of having the good things, or we're missing a portion of the love that we should have gotten when we were younger, or what it is. But there's something that's missing inside of us that shies away from the good things in life. I know, you call it imposter syndrome, what have you. But like for me, I know that for a long time, I hated who I was, and I hated looking in the mirror. I hated, hearing my own voice. I hated everything about me, and then I just had to change that one aspect of the negative self-talk. And I started talking positive to myself and reinforcing that positive self-talk. And then it changed to love, And so now I love who I am. I love everything about myself. I love that I'm all of 5'5", 176 pounds. I look like a tree stump at times. I love it. I love it.
Yep. What do you do? Yeah. No, it's I'm like I said, I'm about 5'6", 100 pounds on a good day. And so the anorexia jokes they're a little overplayed and old.
Yeah.
We're all built differently, and I could probably shock you with my little snacks go through my car. No one will starve. But yeah, and I hated being so small. And a lot of that is where my little feisty mentality came from. And you know, as kids, we joke the whole saying, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but your words will never hurt me."
But they do.
That is the biggest lie I've ever heard in my life. Those words will destroy you, kid, adult, all the same. It's traumatizing. Um, and so the language that we use really needs to be challenged. Um, we say things in the heat of a moment, and even if I know this individual saying it very well, and I know that it's not what they're feeling or in that heat of the moment, there are words in that rant that negatively impact my mental state, my mental health. It's it's probably one of the worst. The tongue is very much the worst weapon that we could ever possibly have and use. And yeah, even if your trauma is from language used against you, that's pretty real.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So before we go, Miss Chelsea, I always ask this to my guests that are on the show. What are 3 things you are grateful for today?
My pup here, who is trying to make her cameo, I'm very grateful for her. Um, very much grateful for my parents. I was blessed with 2 amazing parents who I think are flying off to Alaska on a mission trip today or
Oh,
tomorrow. I need to really check on that, don't I? Speaking of, um, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to create a life that's worth living, that is worthwhile, that means something. I've always, you hear songs, you hear people talk about leaving a legacy. It's like, yeah, right. I'm not Hollywood.
yeah.
But if we all left a legacy, imagine how much better the world would be.
Yeah.
And imagine how much better we would be because of it. Um, and so I'm grateful for the struggle. I'm grateful for the emotion that was wrapped up in learning how to build a new life, a different life.
Yeah. I get it. Where in Alaska are your parents going?
They'll fly into Anchorage and then they'll go into Kodiak and goodness, Sodatna. They travel around. So they do the Bible study first week. And then the second week, my dad's a big fisherman.
Yep.
And so he and a bunch of the other guys, and my mom too, they'll go fishing for salmon, cod, halibut. and they bring hundreds of pounds back. And if I lived less than 8 hours from them, I would raid their fridge more often. But yeah, they've been doing this for several years and making a huge impact on the lives of men, women, and children. And so a lot of my servants' spirit um, was born watching them. Um, and the joy that you get in giving versus taking, no comparison. To
Yeah.
give, to give hope, health, happiness to someone, that's worth its weight in gold. Because, like I said,
Absolutely.
you're not taking that gold with you when you leave.
Yeah.
So that's not your legacy.
Yeah. I asked about Alaska because I was stationed in Alaska. That's where I medically retired. I lived there for 3 years after I got out of the Army, and I lived in Anchorage, and yeah. So I mean, been all up and down. You know, when you said Soldotna, I've been there. I know Soldotna is a beautiful area. I know the whole Kenai Peninsula. It's
That's it.
beautiful.
Thank you. Yes, that is where they go. Yes. Thank
Yeah.
you. I was good. Yeah. I always want to call it canine. I'm like, I
Yeah.
cannot say that out loud.
Yeah. I have. I that's where I started my recovery at in Alaska, and I'm grateful for my time there. Uh, but anyways, so Miss Chelsea, where can we find you?
Facebook, Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. I've got a YouTube channel. It's just now getting up to speed. And then my website, please. Still working on some of the content on it. It is live. You'll get to read more about my story, about the foundation. I'm welcome all donations, all help, volunteers, anything and everything. Reach out. The website, it's easy. RF, so R is in run, F is in fast, 180, rf180.org. And that's for Restore 180 Foundation. And the goal of the foundation is really to put an end to unresolved traumas, unvalidated, invalidated. It really becomes about validating your recovery, your healing in any way, shape, or form, whether it is from a tragic accident, a small hangnail, or addiction. Um, it's all the same. My best friend is a recovering addict. We have conversations that are in perfect alignment because our feelings, our thoughts, our emotions are the same. Our situations, different. But the human feelings, those are the same. Those are the same. And that's what makes your trauma, my trauma, everyone's trauma, a trauma because it affected you. It affected you. And I hate hearing people say it's not that bad because, yeah, if it's still bothering you, it's bad. It's bad.
Absolutely,
Yep.
absolutely. Well, Miss Chelsea, I want to thank you for taking this time to sit down with me and to share your story and share your experience with me. I'm super grateful for you. Thank you.
Oh, I'm thrilled to be on here. The conversation has been as just as much helpful to me as I hope it was to some of your listeners. I'm grateful for the opportunity, and I hope you guys reach out, connect, talk to me. I am really good at getting back pretty quickly. So yeah, you've got many ways of finding me. You can read my story on the website, follow on socials. You'll be in the know. You can heal alongside me. Just know I'm still right there with you. I'm not any better than anyone else. I'm just living out loud because it's worth living out loud. It's worth
Absolutely,
living out loud. So join me and live out loud.
absolutely. And with that, y'all, I want to thank you for taking your time to listen to this episode. Thank you for spending a little bit of time with me. And remember, be kind to yourself. Love yourself. You are loved. You are worthy, and you are worth it. Until next time, much love.